Many of you will remember Tom from billing, and he's doing a little follow-up with all of us. He did the affinity sort with us, and now he's going to show you all what's, well, I'll let you explain.
Yeah, why don't let me
But you told
explain.
me, I'm just going to let you.
Come
I
on.
know, I stole your thunder.
Before the weather, in case you asked, wonderful.
Well, I was here last time, and I had a bunch of people, I've seen some of you, I had you get up and help me put stickers and everything like this. Well, we have analyzed that information, and you're still analyzing that information. But I want to show you what we came up with, and in the hopes that you can tell me that we either got it right in your mind, or we're missing the boat, okay? For instance, what is a bill? What is a bill? Do you get bills? Or do you get statements? You get statements.
So you're trying to talk about language.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk about language, and that's one of them. That's one thing that we're thinking about, because when you get something from Mayo that's talking about your charges, it's on something called a statement, right? But we call it a bill. So we're disconnected. We want to try to see if we can reconnect with you folks. So a friend of ours, he's in Argentina, built this little website for us, and it's not real. Has anybody been out there to see the billing and insurance website for the lately?
The one with the billing video?
Well, it's really confusing. I mean, totally confusing. So I don't doubt you haven't wanted to go out there. But what we've done is we've heard a little bit of complaints about it, so we're trying to reorganize it and make it more obvious to folks. And that's why the words, the language is so important to us. Okay? Now, this is basically a prototype, so not everything works, and it always starts out in the wrong place. Within the website now that we have, we've got up at the very top, we've got a general navigation for everything. .org, that's the general navigation. But then within areas, we have sectional navigations. And for instance, for billing and insurance, we're proposing this array of organizing, yeah, and helping people understand a little bit better so they don't have to go all over. So for instance, when we did that infinity sort, we said, well, we need all of our insurance stuff here, we need our bills and payments here, okay, and then we want to know about financial assistance, price estimates, and arriving at mail. You know what the first comment was when I showed this to the folks that are on the telephones? Why is arriving at mail at the end? Shouldn't that be one of the first things we see? Yeah, okay, gotcha, understand. Okay, so we might just change that, okay? But I would like to hear you guys. And now, so we have this general navigation at the top, and we have this great big picture. You've seen this one right now. If you've seen it on the web, it says Mayo is #1. We're getting rid of that, you know, because it doesn't tell you anything. It's kind of advertising and marketing for us. And we're even thinking about getting rid of this picture altogether, because when you get to this page, as you can see, all you can see is this thing up here and a little bit of the picture, and a lot of the important stuff is down here. These are called tiles. And we know there are some heavy hitters and that people want to get to fast. So for instance, we're going to have pay online now. You know, there's kind of two different ways to do that. Then something on insurance, bills and payments. Okay, and underneath bills and payments would be information on how you can pay your bill. Financial assistance and charitable care, price estimates, what to expect, and again, that's down at the bottom, pre-authorization and glossary of terms. So I'm going to give you a handout which shows this, what we call an information architecture. And this is on, there's stuff on the front and the back, so you can see it. And what I'd like to do is just go through this. It's easier, believe it or not, to go through it on a piece of paper than it is in the Okay, thank you. Oh, I need one.
Take one.
So let's look at the first page. Insurance. That's the first page here. Now that insurance represents this, okay? Insurance process, insurance types, uninsured patients. And then for instance, for insurance types, it runs off and there's more selections on there, okay? Would you please look at this and tell me if you think this organization makes sense to you? If the words make sense to you, if we're talking to you in the right tone, and that's very important, right? Let's take a look at it for a little bit. Just that first page over. Yes, Barry.
Confused about if you mean before a visit or after a visit. And like, for example, like I don't see dates of service now, so I'm a little confused if you mean like, if you're trying to separate out what like insurance would be like get authorization or whether or not it's after the visit and then you'd want to look up for that particular date of service, because sometimes people have different insurance carriers depending on what the procedure is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's basically before you have your visit. And if you've got several insurance companies, you ought to do something several times, right? One of the problems that we have is people think they're authorized to get the work done. But they have to get pre-authorization from the insurance company. The insurance company has to say, yes, you can go to Mayo for X, Y, Z. And so those would be things that we would want you to consider before you came to Mayo, right? Another gotcha for patients that I found out is they get a referral from the doctor. Everything's okay. I'm going to go to Mayo Clinic and everything's going to be fine. Then we find out that they're out of pocket, right? They're out of network, or their insurance company doesn't recognize Mayo. And it's only because they had this perception that a referral is a referral, and that means I'm going good to go, right? So those are the things that we want to help people understand, that it's not us that want to not help you, it's the insurance company that you're working with that you have to find out what they accept and when they'll accept it. Does that make sense? A little bit of sense? So it's before the visit, things that you need to do.
So after the visit, if you're trying to figure out what the status of your bill is with the insurance company, that's a different website?
Well, if it's a status with your insurance company, that's an insurance question that you have to go to them for, because Mayo has no involvement with the insurance companies in that way.
Well, like with Medicare, for example,
Mm-hmm.
Mayo bills Medicare directly. So to see whether or not you receive the Medicare payment back, or there's a problem with it.
Yeah. You know, Barry, I remember you saying that last time. You're absolutely right. You want to see the process. You want to see where it stands, what the status is of your. Yeah, I hear you.
Along that same line, I've had this happen 3 months in a row now.
3 months in a row.
Yes.
Oh,
For
no.
different ones.
Yes, ma'am.
Medicare paid, and somehow I get this statement or bill, whatever you want to call it, I owe so much. I call them and say, why do I owe this? I don't understand. Well, 3 months before, there was a charge for something that Medicare didn't send it on to the secondary. But I didn't know that, and I don't know what one they're referring to when I get a bill for $122.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened 3 months in a row now, for different
And does Medicare help you with that? Understand?
Medicare always tells you that.
You call Mayo. And actually, Mayo is good about helping, but it takes up their time and my time to have them go back to the record to find out what is being charged that's on the Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get that statement or bill, it doesn't tell me what the charge was from. If I knew what it was from, you know, like June visit to ophthalmology, for example, well, then I at least have a better idea of what to go back to look at.
You sounded like you want an application of some sort. Yeah, you do. That's what you're talking about. Because remember, the website is a static thing. I mean, that's it. no status or anything like that, but I think what you're talking about is very important. Don't get me wrong, and I'm going to take that back, because you ought to know what's going on, and you ought to know why you're being charged for something. I would think.
Well, and I think this is a complaint from my back work with billing, is something I heard in the past, and I think it's like past charges. They don't separate how much from each past bill. It's just
Right.
clumped at the bottom, so
Right. So you don't know what
it's
date
impossible
it
to
was.
keep track of.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, and the biggest issue is that for some reason, which I've never been able to figure out, Mayo insists that if you have 3 visits in 1 week, they call it a visit number. And they lump 3 or 4 visits together, and when Medicare or another insurance company pays it, you can't tell from the itemized statement of account
What it's paid for.
which one it's for. So there's no way of knowing that, like if you can even help Mayo get the money through the insurance company, because you don't even know exactly where the problem is.
That's a great way of framing it, Barry, that you actually help Mayo get paid when you advocate for the corrections through with Medicare.
I tried, like my daughter, for example, was billed for something in August. It turned 6 months we've been waiting, and it turned out I couldn't get information from the insurance company because she's over 18. It turned out that Mayo had sent over some x-rays to the insurance company that they couldn't read, but they never bothered to tell Mayo. Meanwhile, he's been sitting there for 6 months. And if I would have known that, if I would have seen that.
Yeah, you
I
would
could
have
done something.
advocated for
But
getting
I
it
have
done.
no way of knowing, so it was hard.
Okay, well, that seems like an interesting addition. I'll talk to the folks about that. That sounds like an ornery nut to crack. It really does. Because it sounds like the Medicare people have a process, and it doesn't match anybody else's process, probably. Okay? Yeah. I'll take it forward.
What's this Champus TRICARE?
Champus TRICARE, if you're in the military and you need a bridge between that and Medicare, you buy TRICARE. It's really good for the military people. It really is. My parents were on it, and they couldn't live without it, even back in the 70s and 80s. That's what it is. So we couldn't change that name. It has to stay there. Now let's
So
cross
Tom, are
over.
you, basically, I want to also ask you, so insurance FAQs,
Yes.
that makes me crazy. I'm sorry, why would I go there?
Well, yeah. FAQs are typically a mistake in the design of a website. That means that you couldn't incorporate it elsewhere. We took all the complaint data that came into us about billing and insurance and tried to create FAQs for that, okay? And there are certain things that we just aren't going to answer, or I've heard that people like to go to FAQs to see if similar people have similar questions about the integration of all this stuff or whatever. Now, at one time, we had FAQs, just one great big huge lump sum of them, but now you'll see we have FAQs on insurance, and then under billing, we have FAQs. It says insurance FAQs, but it should say billing FAQs, right? So we're going to try to split them out for you to make them a little bit more meaningful and contextual. But I agree with you.
That bucket, it always, I hate to open it because I don't know how big it is or how crazy it's going to be in there.
And that's why we're going to keep it down really, really minimal.
Minimal.
Yeah, and put as much as we can. Actually, we're going to try to put all that stuff in the content, but still have the FAQs just in case for those people who like to go there and see what's written. Yes, ma'am.
So I know on Alina Health's, their website, they have different insurance companies that they accept. And you can also like select which one you have, what plan it is. Is there going to be an option for that on here?
I'm pushing for that.
Okay.
I really am. I'm working in 2 different groups on this project. It's crazy for me. Cleveland Clinic does the same thing. You can click there, and I looked at all the insurances. Now, I did notice one missing insurance, and that was Mayo Clinic's insurance. I don't know why they wouldn't honor Mayo Clinic's insurance, but they don't. But absolutely, that seems like a fantastic idea. Oh, my insurance is covers these guys. Now, the point is do they cover every single specialty? I don't know. So you still have to call your insurance company,
Right.
but at least that gives you
It gave me an idea.
a warm fuzzy. And I think that's a great service to people. I really do, and I'm not sure why we can't do it either. We're also thinking about putting other things on there, like what to do before you come to us, insurance-wise, you know. So, yes, good question. Yes, ma'am.
For the pre-authorizations, you know, Medicare doesn't have that, but before that, before I had Medicare, I had to get a lot of pre-authorizations, and a lot of people don't know what's pre-authorized and what isn't. Is there some kind of explanation about the nature of the tests that require pre-authorization and those that aren't? Because if you take a test that a doctor orders before you get the pre-authorization approved, and you have to know that it's approved, you wind up not being reimbursed like an MRI. You can take a $3,000 MRI, go there, and then all of a sudden take it and find out if the pre-authorization came the next day, you're out of luck and you're out for $3,000.
Well, I would wait for that pre-authorization.
But I mean, will it be on the website where you could actually see that the pre-authorization is approved?
No, no. This is just going to talk about pre-authorization and the need to do it and what it means to you.
But
But-
the good thing is there is an insurance estimation tool they're working on. Did you
Yes,
know that?
I'll get to that in
Okay.
just a second.
Because they came here a couple months ago
Yep.
in front of this group.
Cool.
Mhm.
Well, it's going to go on this website.
They said they want to come back, so
Yep.
maybe I should reach out to them.
I think so.
Bring them to a meeting where you are.
I'm seeing them tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll talk to them about that. Also, with pre-authorization, as you pointed out, there's MRIs, there's this test, that procedure, this procedure. There's so many of them that it would be hard for us to say, well, Medicare does this, and Cigna does this, and Cigna doesn't do that, but does this. It would be a horrendous matrix, I think. It would be impossible to keep up the maintenance on that. That's why we ask that patients go to their insurance company to find out. But I agree, the timing is a big problem.
The other thing is with Medicare, which is a special issue, is there are certain tests that the machines spit out. I forgot what ADNs, advance notice of non-coverage. It'd be nice to know what those procedures are, so before you take them, before you have them scheduled. Sometimes you really don't.
Medicare?
Medicare there are certain procedures that Medicare doesn't cover, and they're very common procedures. So if the CPT code, the diagnosis code don't match perfectly, sometimes Medicare will spit out an ADN and the patient winds up having to sign it or it's not covered. But sometimes the clinic knows in advance, but you can't really find out in advance because for various reasons. I think the Medicare unit doesn't talk with the other units, but I'm just saying, I wish they could put their knowledge on a website so you could look it up.
I'll ask them about that, because that'd be an interesting one, especially for the Medicare folks.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So to bounce off of Barry's comment, so I work as a coordinator and I take patient complaints over the phone. And a lot of them don't go and they don't understand their insurance, and so then they come to us upset with that. Would it be possible when on the insurance types, like for Medicare, when people have questions, that we could link to the Medicare website?
I think that would be easy to do.
Because then it still puts the responsibility on the patient, but it gives them that resource.
It gives them that resource. Beautiful idea, thank you. Would it really? Good idea. Whoa! Fantastic, we will do it. I guarantee it, right? I'll make it happen.
Hang on the phone for half a day.
Yeah.
So, but let's build on that. So there's resources external from Mayo that
Mhm.
would be amenities connected all
Yes.
in Mayo's site.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Barry.
The most helpful information would probably be, because Medicare doesn't actually approve the different charges. It's actually approved by subcontractors. Their subcontractor website with the local coverage determinations and even the national coverage determinations are not easily accessible to patients. They're very hard to navigate through. So if you're doing what she's doing, it'd be nice to be able to, able to get to your proper local coverage determinations and national coverage determinations for particular illnesses, so you know exactly what's covered. But as I said, right now you can spend a half a day trying to find it, online.
Are you telling me that at the federal level and the state level, there are two different coverages?
No, what I'm saying is the federal Medicare itself doesn't make any billing decisions. They issue some national coverage determinations, but they don't make any billing decisions.
It's up to the local.
The billing decisions are made by, the Medicare divides into different regions of the country.
By the local, yeah.
Right, and so basically the local subcontractor is we're like Wisconsin Physician Services, or National, there's another one, National, which I think is out of St. Louis. They are the ones that actually make all the decisions, but only the doctors are allowed to actually have access to some of that information.
So if I come from Florida, am I under the Florida or the Minnesota?
You would be
I
under
think
Florida.
it's
Florida.
Minnesota. That's a good question,
If
and
you live in-
they are different.
They are different, okay. Oh, good question, Barry. Very good, thank you. I don't know if we can answer all those questions. It's good to have it, because if we can get you close, that's better than nothing, right?
Exactly.
But you're right, if it's a regional thing, we ought to be able to get you there too.
Well, they don't want to, they're not allowed to take patient questions.
No, to the website maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you should be able to
Should,
do. Maybe.
maybe.
Tom, I'm
Okay.
going to add one thing that, this was a comment that a patient made to me when I worked in marketing. And this patient, because she knew I worked in marketing, she said, "You guys don't market enough." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You don't market that you accept insurance. So if you go back to that insurance column,
Listen,
you don't have a link that says what kinds of insurance we take, or is managing that list impossible? Is that too big?"
well, no, that's what we were just talking about, that Cleveland Clinic does.
Right, okay, so someone did bring that up, because
Yes.
that's not on your list.
No, it isn't, because,
Yeah.
Does it too.
Yeah,
Because
I
we
mean,
don't do
that's
it.
just a no-brainer, and we should be promoting that and marketing that, because
Yeah.
there's actually a lot of patients, for some reason, that think Mayo doesn't accept insurance, and everyone that comes to Mayo self-pays.
Because Mayo
Mostly development patients,
Mayo
but.
originally, when it comes to non-Medicare, Mayo originally didn't accept any insurance. Then they, except for Mayo, then they started to accept Blue Cross Blue Shield and some others, but I think their website still said that with some exceptions, they don't accept insurance, but they do accept somebody coming and getting reimbursement, coming as a private pay. If someone comes as a private pay, the insurance company will do out-of-network reimbursement. That's not the same as accepting insurance, which means that you would pretty much get free coverage. And so there's a difference between getting free coverage with the insurance company versus coming as a private pay and then getting reimbursed through a private indemnity type of coverage.
You know so much. I mean, truly, I would have to read a manual to know that. And it's just because you've had to get in there and figure this out, but.
okay, well, we've just got a couple seconds, if we could, is everybody good on the insurance stuff? Words and things? How about on the billing side? Oh, come on.
Is it being weird?
Maybe it doesn't want to work anymore.
Maybe relaunch it? Oh, that's it.
It was hung up somewhere.
Bill?
The very first thing I want to ask you is, a lot of times we use words like insurance, right? Would it be nicer to say, all the things you can learn about insurance is here? You know, a more personable sentence, if you were. What about my bill? You know, here's the stuff about your statement, okay? Not statements. Go here to see statements. Go here to see about your statements. You see the difference in language I'm trying to get at?
Do you use the bill and offer?
I know I'm using it. That's why I want you to tell me it's no good. Please. I'm helping you. No, but you see what I'm saying? A lot of times in websites, we just use the stoic one word or two words, and you're supposed to understand what I mean by that. And it's gotten to the point where people say, oh, okay, I'll go here for insurance, see what's under there, instead of understanding what's under there. And a little sentence can help you understand. Like pay your bill. that's obvious. I mean, we could have it a different way, but, you know, it's kind of in your terminology. Yes, ma'am?
I don't think it needs to be a whole sentence, you can just use a phrase like, about your bill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Understanding.
Yeah, understanding your bill or about your bill or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that more palatable than just saying bill? You know, or just saying, here's your bill, or look here to understand your, you know, we're trying to get to you, right? Is that, yeah,
A few more words
okay.
would be softer.
Perfect word, perfect, yes. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm gonna say something good. I like your all payment options, because if people don't have insurance to come to Mayo, we do still take them if they make other payment arrangements.
Yes, yes.
And a lot of times people don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
This might be impossible because I don't know much about mail, but would there be a place here to list all of the most used codes and what they meant?
Oh.
I mean, when you look at the bottom, you think you see 101, 2, 3, 5.
So could this be an external resource even that we connect to? Is there a place externally so that we don't manage that, but that lists what the codes stand for?
That's a great suggestion.
Really is.
You're gonna have to get legal advice on that, because the codes are, all the medical codes are a proprietary payment from the American Medical Association. So I know that in the past they tried to list the codes online, private vendors, and they've actually been sued by the American Medical Association to take them off so people would have to buy the books. But I still think that it's on the bottom of the bill, so it'd be nice if they could spell it out, but the thing is, I'm just telling you that I know there have been some problems in the past about organizations trying to list what they actually mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. And sometimes they might mean something different in one institution. Does that happen?
No, the CPT codes and the diagnosis, the ICD-10 codes,
Yep.
they're the same all across the country.
Exactly.
They're required by law to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that the explanations for them to publish the directory online, I think you'd have to get permission from the American Medical Association, because, again, people pay for that.
Yes.
And that's a problem. So you have to figure out ways in the computer to get around it by going through the Medicare website.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense not to.
Yeah, I know, but it'd be wonderful if they could.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. I'll look into it for sure. Any other things on billing and payments?
Did you talk about price estimate?
Yes, price, thank you, Dave. I get 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I'll give you 2 minutes.
Thank you. Right now, it just says, you can do price estimates, call us, you know, I think we do price estimates for folks. But the idea is to get a tool out there on the web that you can use to say, oh, I'm going in for foot surgery, this kind of foot surgery, what is it going to cost me possibly? What is the ballpark figure? Now, of course, it cannot be, all it is an estimate, because you never know what's going to happen between now and then, right? So they're working on a pricing, an estimate tool right now. I think that's being worked on in Arizona folks. And I'm meeting with those folks tomorrow, and I'll express your interest.
I think that's a real important one, especially for people that might not have insurance or total insurance. They need to know what it's about. And I tried to find out a couple of times in the past.
It's hard.
the information.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
For the arriving at Mayo Clinic, you have a financial checklist. Is there some way that you could put a checklist before you arrive at Mayo Clinic?
That's good. Thank you very much, because that's what we'd like to turn that into. I
Okay.
would like to turn it into.
Okay.
Before you arrive at Mayo Clinic.
Like
Before you arrive at Mayo Clinic, here's a checklist for what you need to do. And by the way, you might want to check out the hotels, and here's some restaurants. A link to the hotels and restaurants, right? Because you always need that too, right? Okay, cool.
So
Good.
actually, is there a checklist after you get your bill?
Excuse me?
Is there a checklist after you get your bill too? Because there's probably things post-experience.
That you
Because
should
if you
be
make a
looking for.
checklist, it's easier.
The other thing that, yes, thank you, I'll write that down. The other thing that I want to do is have some of this be more incorporated with the materials you get from us. In other words, inform you when you get your materials. Hey, do you talk to your insurance company? Please do, right? But then you won't forget. at least another reminder at least, you know? And that nut is a little hard to crack, but I'm gonna try to do that. We're gonna try to do that also.
You know, it's one of those things people learn after something's happened. You kind
that's
of
the wrong time
learn
to
that
learn
you're
it.
supposed to get pre-authorized.
Yeah. Okay, real quick, I guess we've talked about these.